Good afternoon. Welcome to the Too Much Dip podcast. My name is Dave. I'm a host. I'm going to direct some conversation and just try to see what kind of insight we can gather about the sports that have happened and the sports that will happen. Joining me in studio producing, it's Randy.
Oh, I thought you were going to do my last name. Hello, David.
You want to start over?
I have 3 coaches that have been fired in this past year. That's my sports anecdote.
3 coaches fired.
Good old White Sox manager, Purdue football coach, and Matt Eberflus. Is that how you say his name? I don't even care anymore. Chicago Bears stink.
They stink, baby.
You're fired.
So hook 'em.
Cool. Well, that's a fun anecdote. At least you get to start fresh in 3 different avenues.
You got your Longhorns, bud.
Sure. Yeah, let's go Longhorns. You know what? I'll say it officially. I'm all UT.
Let's go.
I'm
we got
UT.
Randy on board.
No, unacceptable.
KJ, shut up, dude.
Poser.
Unacceptable.
Been living here for 6
David,
years.
do some recruiting there with your local constituents.
What can I do? The guy's in a place of turmoil. Purdue's in the toilet.
Randy.
Purdue's not even in the toilet. Purdue's in the urinal and someone duked in the urinal. It's bad.
I've been keeping your seat warm for you, Randy. You are very welcome over here, bud.
Oh.
There we go. You know what? I bleed orange now.
He does. He bleeds orange, folks.
This bandwagon. Everybody, when Sark leaves to coach the Cowboys.
We're not doing that.
When Sark leaves and they have
but
to
that's
rebuild.
beautiful.
They have like a couple years of like barely being bowl eligible. We'll see how this town's looking. Everybody's going to jump off. Everybody's going to be all up on Texas State and G.J. Kinney because he's definitely not leaving. It's
Deep down, Dave is just extreme Texas hater. Deep down.
I thought you were going to go the other way.
It comes out every now and then.
Well, you've always accused me of that.
Yeah.
No, you think anybody who lives here and doesn't like go to Texas games and wear T-shirts and stuff is a Texas hater.
I've never said that.
That's how
Why would you sneak in the T-shirt part?
Anytime Texas gets a little
T-shirts are
taste
tight.
of success, you are quick to rain on that parade.
No, because I'm objective and I like to. You get a little upset. I point out that Quinn didn't look that good at the game. You think he was perfect and didn't have any. I'm messing.
I am
very
objective about Quinn.
I secretly root for Texas, but I'm not going to be the Austin guy who moves here and just makes it his personal brand. I'm not going to be that guy.
Oh,
I've got allegiances elsewhere. I went to Texas State. My wife went to Baylor. Those are my number 1 and number 2. Texas will never be above them. I bet Rhodes will end up liking Texas. I'm sure if we live here, if we're here in his formative years, he'll probably be a Texas fan. Maybe Sark will still be here. Who knows? Dylan Shivery, noted Texas fan.
My noted, thank you. Look, they just keep winning, man. They just keep winning. Sometimes it looks pretty, sometimes it doesn't. They just keep stacking dubs. Got a big one coming up against those Bulldogs, part 2. Very excited about it.
Who's calling that game? Is that a Tessitore, John?
No, I think it's
Kirk?
I think it's Kirk and Fowler.
Thank God.
It's not Fowler. Is it Fowler?
Oh, okay. I see where you're going. ABC Saturday night.
Game day will be there.
I guess I just want to point out because when we talk about the actual game, I don't want to spend too much time on the crew, Tessitore and Jesse Palmer. They are objectively terrible. They are. That's probably the 3rd or 4th game I've watched. They're the biggest SEC homers. It's almost like they go up to Tess before the game. They're like, dude, here's their talking points. You got to hit these at least 6 times. You got to mention that once Georgia wins, if they win, they are in no matter what. So there's no conversation. It was gross, dude. They're terrible. And I don't mind like someone thinking the SEC is the best conference. That's perfectly fine. Some people in here might. I don't know. He may not even be in here. He may be in Madison, Wisconsin. I don't know. But all I'm saying is they're terrible. And they don't it's almost like they don't watch the game. Nobody mentioned the fact that I'm getting ahead of myself. They didn't even mention the targeting that was absolutely a crucial point in that game, that non-call. Anyway, we're talking about
I would like to point out that while I am a Texas fan, and I do love that Texas is now in the SEC, I'm certainly not an SEC fan. All right, just because the team that I love is in that conference. I'm not one of these. If you're a fan of a conference, it's
Ooh.
probably because your team is shitty.
Ooh.
I'm a fan of a team in that conference. All right, a
Dude.
very clear distinction I want to point out.
I'm a big Sun Belt guy.
I don't give a shit about conference pride and all that stuff.
You're not like the dude I went to law school with who once passed out standing up and fell through a table at Cookie's Dive Bar while doing karaoke, who would just chant SEC football in the middle of a bar that we weren't even, like, he went to Georgia. He would just chant SEC. And, like, dude, we're at the bar. Like, we're not watching a game. And he would just, like, walk through, because we were at OU, where we're walking through, like, OU fans. Anyway, he would just chant SEC. And I was like, this is such a weird move by you. Shout out to him.
No, that ain't me, Davey. That's what I'm trying to say.
He fell through a table like Chris Farley at the beginning of Tommy Boy when he hits that bong too hard. That's exactly what it looked like.
Madison, Wisconsin native.
That's right.
The beautiful thing about hearing that story is I've heard it only one other time, and I don't believe it was on air. I believe it was somewhere like dropping into Verdansk years ago with another Oklahoma colleague of yours. And so for some reason, I have like David, Georgia friend, SEC chant, like filed away somewhere in this like ill-organized Rolodex. But,
It's true. It's true, man.
Good pull.
Dang, we got off track there.
It's okay.
I'm here. Randy's here. Dylan, KJ. Did I intro KJ?
You didn't, but it's all right. You alluded to it. It's really the implication that counts.
Here's that guy. KJ.
Thrilled to be here. Sorry I missed last week. I know we're wildly off course, but I want to quickly do two things. One, poor form, address something that we've already talked about. If Sark was to go to the Cowboys, which he won't, it would be fitting for one person only, and that's his current wife. I believe wife situationship, because
I don't know what's
there's
going on there.
nobody who loves positioning themselves behind the camera when he's doing an interview more than Sark's wife.
You know, I missed this the other night. Was she there? Was she on the field?
I don't know if it was pre or post game.
What's her name?
Because
It could be
L'Oreal.
like mid-quarter interview, but like it's very consistent. It might have been post game.
Yeah, I don't know what's
She was
going
doing
on.
like selfies with the
them.
players.
I was under the impression that they were still separated, but I don't really know.
Well, she would absolutely thrive in Dallas. And to be clear,
Exactly.
literally no one is saying that that's going to happen. That is me. That is me trying to cause trouble. There is absolutely no way that would happen. There's no way. But it would be funny. Plus, anyway, Cowboys, we're bringing McCarthy back, dude. 2 in a row. We got the fucking lowly Bengals coming to town for Monday night. Little winning streak, KJ. You could see it. You fucking with the vision?
I warned you 2 weeks ago, and I was pissed that I was not here last week to like drill this home.
It's bad.
But to say you're going to be sitting there at Thanksgiving and you're going to see a little glimmer of hope that things will screw up around you, or not around you, but around the Cowboys, which in the division, it hasn't happened. But a wild card's extremely gettable.
No.
There's a pulse.
Pretty sure there's about
There's a
6
pulse.
teams ahead of us in the wild card. The wild card is like actually a stacked and pretty fun race in the NFC.
They can't get one of the AFC wins, in which like somehow the Broncos are 2 games up in possession of.
It's crazy. No, last night before Thanksgiving, they had a 1% chance at the playoffs. So now it might be 3 now.
All right, second detour. Because I was not here last week, I spent, I don't know, 2 or 3 days last week drafting up posts from a couple different burners, not hitting send on any of them, to come to defense for my guy, to ride for my guy online. That's one Dylan Shivery. I missed the full context of the quote, but it didn't matter. Regardless, if people were coming for his head saying that Dylan had a bad take about the validity of Georgia and Georgia Tech, like, I wasn't going to stand for it.
That's not what they said. They said it was a horrendous trash take.
Well, people are also completely missing the point that I was making.
I agree. Go
because they heard me say question like how serious the rivalry was, and they just started seeing red and missed the point I was making. To be fair, I am not super familiar with how passionate the Georgia Tech rivalry is. Obviously, they're in the same state. They are in different conferences, however, and that's the point I was making. Plus, Georgia has been a very, very good program over the last, decade plus, whatever. Georgia Tech, well, they're Georgia Tech. No offense. I mean, they're not like huge on the national scale. So if you want to come at me for maybe like not giving enough credit to that rivalry, that's a fair thing to say. But that's not the point of what I was making. The point I was making is that it would be great if the final game of the regular season had conference implications. For Georgia to be a 2-loss SEC team and to already have a spot in the conference championship reserved with a game to play still, just it's a little cheap to me. And again, I've been a fan of the Big 12 for a long time, not of the conference, but
Big 12 football.
A team in the Big 12, and they don't schedule like that. They get all their non-conference games out of the way early, and then just nothing but conference games up until the final regular season game. That's a point I was making, and I still stand on it. That's it.
I was going to text during the game. I was going to say when it was like the 6th overtime, I was going to text like, hey, is this helping you or hurting you on the Reddit right now? Because I really couldn't figure out.
Obviously, I couldn't foresee an all-timer that was about to happen that just probably added more fuel to the fire.
I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about it?
Yeah, I was only going to add, I think that Saturday framed either side of that argument beautifully because you got non-conference bangers and you got conference bangers on both sides. So I don't think there was anything wrong with your point. As somebody who's new to paying attention to the ACC, I think I mentioned a couple weeks back that Florida State was done with their ACC conference schedule 2 weeks ago. Like they played Charleston Southern last week and they played Florida and maybe somebody else out of conference in between there. Like it was silly because they played week 0 against Georgia Tech. So theirs was a little bit off, but still,
if you compare, sorry to butt in real quick, if you compare that the Georgia Tech game to the Texas A&M game, not only do you have an in-state rivalry game that hadn't been played in 12, 13 years, whatever it is, but it meant a lot because the winner of that game plays Georgia in the SEC title game. And it just added so much more to the game.
That's just the way it shook out.
Yeah, let's do Georgia. Let's just start with that since we're kind of there already. You want to dive into that, David?
We're just a classic game absolutely ruined by just a insane overtime rule. Insane. That totally ruined. That is like a movie. It's like if The Godfather went on for like another 25 minutes, and it was just like the camera following Michael around as like he went and like cooked something in the kitchen and like went to the bathroom and washed his hands, and it just randomly ended. Just ruined.
What are you referring to?
The overtime. It sucked.
Which rule? It's like
because
obviously
how they
it's
go
changed,
to the,
but which portion of it did you dislike
from the 3-yard line?
It felt so. Having watched the game that initiated it, which was LSU A&M back, was that like 8 years ago? When was that? 6 or 7 years ago?
2017, whatever that is. Maybe not even that far. I don't know.
It is crazy that like, okay, so that one moment in time, it's like, well, we got to change it all up. And to avoid this, and then you get it, and it's rare, and that's not going to happen again, right? In theory, but I just found it to be like completely unwatchable. Like it was exciting, and I was glued to it, but at the same time, I was like, I felt weird. I was like, this sucks that this game is going to end like this. 2-point conversions.
Yeah.
So
and they did it like 5. It starts in the 3rd or 4th overtime. When is the 2-point conversion? The 3rd. Okay, so they did that 6 times, back and forth.
Meanwhile, our boy,
it went to what, 7?
It went to 8.
Oh, it went to 8. So yeah, 6.
Our boy Haynes King out there is fucking dragging himself, dude. I felt really bad for him because he was such a stud that entire game.
He was, man. Hats off to Haynes King, who I have made fun of quite a bit in the past. Well, when he played for Texas A&M, to be clear, because he just has a horrendous throwing motion, which, by the way, looks a lot better these days. He played his ass off, and that guy was probably he's in a walker the next day. Man, he was just getting beat up, running the ball so much, taking big hits. That dude is a badass.
Taking helmet to helmet hits from some white guy named Dan on a fucking safety blitz. It was fucking absolutely targeting. When I saw that, my dad and I were watching it. I was like, was that not targeting? And like, of course, Tess isn't going to say anything about it because why would he? So we got the greatness of Twitter. I like immediately go. Everybody's like, that really looked like targeting. How are they not going to look at this? And there you go. That was the game.
Because in moments like that, referees are just too scared to make a game-altering call. There's chicken shit.
Yeah, I guess that plays into it. And maybe, to be fair, like the way it happened, he was like they weren't like surrounded by the rest of the line, but like it may not have had the best line of sight to see it. So they may have just missed it, but it was pretty clear if you're watching.
It's the one thing that you can call down and under review, like and not throw the flag and have it reviewed for targeting.
Great point.
You can buzz that in. Is the frustrating part. And my thought, and I think I posted it, similar to your experience, was one of those things like, I think collectively everybody's like, oh, wait, that's targeting. And then you kind of were revalidated. Like I almost thought it was an original thought when I was like, I would have been targeting any other moment on the field. And then I scroll down and literally everybody thought the same thing. But I guess there was a situation last year, I can't recall the game, where they did call that very targeting in the hole, essentially. As opposed to kind of on a receiver, blah, 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 or on a quarterback. So, yeah, there was a lot of missed calls. The Tessitore thing, I've said it a million times that I don't listen to audio a ton while watching games. I know that's not the greatest for vibes. I will completely contradict that statement when it gets to the A&M game in a second. But for some reason, I caught like the entire second half of Tessitore. And I wasn't even like really strongly rooting for Georgia Tech, except for I was really strongly rooting for Kirby Smart to lose. So however that played out, I don't know. But by the end of it, I was to the point where like, I didn't care if I was just riding for ACC, for Haynes King, for anybody, but Kirby Smart to be happy at the end of the day. And of course, that's not what we got. So
I was definitely pulling for Georgia Tech in that one. I mean, not only did I want the upset, but I wanted Georgia to be eliminated from the playoffs. Of course, considering that's the only team that's beat Texas so far, I didn't want them to have to face that team again. Of course, now we're going to face them in the conference championship anyway. But yeah, for that reason,
twice, theoretically,
yeah, could end up playing Georgia 3 times this season. Technically, yeah that's crazy. Yeah, I was wanting Georgia Tech to win. I too didn't watch a lot of the end of that game without sound. Actually, I turned sound on with maybe the 5th overtime. So I missed.
What the fuck are they doing?
I missed a lot of the Tessitore stuff. A lot of people were bitching about him on the timeline that I saw. So I know it was bad.
I know Tess from like the boxing days when he would call a fight. And you're like, okay, I think he was the voice of Showtime for a while. And he's got a good prize fight voice. It's just for whatever reason, and even before the SEC stuff, it is not translated to football for me as well. But it's not that big of a deal. The game was awesome. I was pulling for Georgia Tech, as you could probably gather. Not even because I'm like rooting against Georgia. It was just like, I'm seeing this kid, this Haynes King, much maligned, go out there and just fucking get smoked and just do everything he can. And he's probably this will be like the game of his life. And then, it didn't work out like that. But
quick question. If Georgia Tech wins that game, do you think they belong in the playoff?
What's their
Georgia
record?
Tech was not ranked. They were not ranked at the time. Their record is they have 4 losses now. So whatever that equals, or I'm sorry. Let me walk this all back. They have 5 losses. So that would have been a 4-loss team with a win over Georgia.
No.
And a win over Miami, essentially 2 or 3 weeks with top 10 wins.
No, that's just way too many losses.
too many losses.
Yeah, we saw one of them live.
Fuck, are you setting us up for a big contradiction here in a minute?
No.
Okay.
Just,
No way. Too many losses.
Yeah, I think Virginia Tech is the one that they shouldn't have had. Otherwise, they lost Notre Dame, Louisville, and Syracuse.
We were at the Louisville game. Haynes
true.
King, we had field access. A lot of people don't remember that, but a fucking absolute unit, like in real life. You'll be surprised to learn.
Big fella.
All right.
Okay, so fuck. What do you want
Let's
to
do
do?
Ohio State
Okay.
because I want to leave enough room for A&M, Texas,
Oh,
or
man.
Texas A&M.
I loved
Yeah,
every second of this game. I don't know. I hate Ohio. I don't know why I hate Ohio State as much as I do, but I really do. I think it's Ryan Day.
It's the beard,
It's Ryan Day.
his face.
Yeah, he's just.
you had Urban Meyer's face before that. You had Jim Tressel's vest before that. Like, and Tressel wasn't, in my opinion, that hateable as a person. Maybe I don't know. I didn't hate him in particular. Liked a lot of their players.
They're not getting left
Urban
out.
Meyer and Ryan Day
No.
were easy to hate.
Right? Ohio State's going to make it. Yeah.
No, they're in 99% chance right now.
I weirdly started liking Trussell after the autograph scandal.
Tattoo thing, yeah.
Because I was like, he got run for this? It's like, this is that
Never
big
to
of
be
a
heard
deal.
from again.
Seriously. Weird. Shout out to our guy, Davis Warren.
Yeah. That so happy for Davis Warren. I mean, he probably a couple throws he's going to want back. He probably not super proud of every play in that game, but dude, stuck with it.
My heart dropped when that goal line pick went down.
Yeah.
We were just gassing him up in the group text. We're like, oh, it was bad.
But I mean, that's something he's gonna stay with him for the rest of his life. That was a huge moment for him and for Michigan. Love to see that. Love to see Ohio State lose.
Was there anything that stood out from Ohio State aside from beyond their defense, like their defensive line, their linebackers, and their secondary? They have some legitimate dudes who will be a problem for anybody they play in the playoff. But for a team whose biggest win is Penn State, was there anything coming out of that game where you're like, this is a Georgia, Texas level threat going into the remainder of the playoffs?
So Ohio State probably has the most talented, like overall, the most talented roster in the country. I mean, not only did they recruit like crazy, but they just loaded up in the portal in the offseason. Of course, they got Caleb Downs from Alabama. No, Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah, one or the other. I know he was committed to one, ended up going the other, transferred to Ohio State.
Anyway, he's maybe the best safety in college football. They're just absolutely stacked. Another portal they brought in was Will Howard from Kansas State, and they could have done so much better. The guy is just so average in every way. He can run the ball a little bit, so he's somewhat of a dual threat. The dude is an average to below average passer, and I've been saying that for a long time. That is what's holding them back is like really good quarterback play. But they are extremely talented. I would not want to face Ohio State in the playoff. That's a very, very dangerous team, no matter how you look at it. But yeah, the quarterback does not do much to scare me right now. So that's the one glaring weak spot for that team.
We are forgetting Porter they brought in too. Chip Kelly, quarterback guru himself, putting up 10 points against your biggest rival on the biggest stage. Like, this could have easily been his Sarkisian moment in terms of, like, I shouldn't say Sarkisian, but Sarkisian moment of not pills and alcohol, but of taking a year elsewhere. Okay. And like completely uplifting your career elsewhere. Is it unnecessary? Maybe.
It was.
Yeah, come on.
But like of taking a year elsewhere, granted, Sark was in Bama for a couple. He did a year with the Falcons. This could still be that for Chip Kelly, but there's nothing that I've seen out of the development of Will Howard or the like development of this offense that says, oh, Chip just didn't have the tools at UCLA. Like, get him to somewhere with tools and he will be a powerhouse again. Somebody will hire him, but I didn't see it. In the one touchdown they did score, I will constantly say that was offensive pass interference. It wasn't egregious, but it was pretty damn egregious. There was a motion or the DB was shifting into position, getting in alignment, and that's why they probably didn't call it. But essentially, he collided with the wide receiver, and the wide receiver pushed him, took advantage of him being off balance. So he fell over, cut out, easy touchdown. So that was their one tutty. Michigan's defense showed up in a big way, even with their injuries. So that was a fun game to watch.
Oh, yeah,
even
Will
for how
Johnson.
little scored.
Will Johnson was out for this game.
Mm-hmm.
Their All-American
Still got shut
corner.
down.
Yeah. Yeah, that defense is, they got a lot. They got a lot of talent. Like 2 first-rounders at defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Projected first-rounders. That's a good defense. I love that
Okay.
Let's talk pepper spray.
Yeah. I've never seen that on a football field. Have you guys? Pepper spray?
No.
Once they broke out the bikes, I knew it was going too far. Like, oddly enough, like mounted cops is one thing I think everybody understands. Like, hey, cops aren't fucking around right now. But also the wall of like mountain bikes is another move they'll pull because they feel, and I shouldn't say this in a like accusatory way, but it gives the feeling of like, I'm creating distance and probably doing more damage than you're recognizing when cops pick up that bike frame and like push people off. But they started lining that bad boy up. And about that same time, you start getting shots of people falling back, wiping their eyes. And I'm like, oh, wait, this is not pretty. Getting a Kent State situation here.
You ever been pepper sprayed?
Never.
I've been on the outskirts of it at a high school football, a Duncanville game, where they pepper sprayed a fight in the stands. Like I was like not even near the fight, and it just like the wind blew, and everybody's like, "Oh!" So you kind of start coughing, and fuck, dude, I was 30 feet from it.
I didn't know what happened until they showed the shot of the 2. I guess it was. I can't remember. Michigan players just sitting on the bench, just like with their eyes closed, going like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, they got sprayed for sure. I didn't see it happen live. Did Baker start the flag planting thing?
It's the first one of significance I can remember. And that was also
Ohio State.
Ohio
right?
State.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they did it back. Like Ohio State did that at Oklahoma too. I believe when they came back and won,
Okay.
they did something at Oklahoma in retaliation. I can't recall what it was. And then
They cut the brake
trying to
line
think
on the
of-
wagon. It tipped over.
I don't think anything compares to shooting a hole in a jersey, but we saw that this year. But planting the flag for some reason seems to be everybody's like tipping point.
It's the new thing.
Yeah, it's look, I love it. Also, like, I feel like if you're on the other side of it, you don't need to go protect your star or your logo. Like, go.
There you go. George Teague would appreciate all this fight.
That's what I immediately think of is T.O. With the Niners on the Cowboys star.
How many teams did it? I know this was rivalry weekend, so there's that at play here. How many games did we see this in this weekend? Because Arizona State did it against Arizona. Of course, Michigan did it against Ohio State.
Which it was like a 45-point ass whipping. Arizona, you shouldn't have been anywhere near. I get it. You're at home. Like, you should have been in the car.
I thought there was another
Instead of
one
fighting.
too.
Florida,
North
Florida
Carolina State got in a big fight too.
Florida State.
Did Florida State? Yeah, right. Oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
that's hilarious. I do enjoy them trying to plant it on turf.
Yeah, it didn't work out so
We got to
well.
figure something out.
Just have the equipment guys show up with like a base.
Arizona State did the trident, by the way, not a flag. I thought that was a nice touch.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Objectively sick.
I'd plant it in the end zone. Like, I get the symmetry of being middle of the field. Like, I understand.
Logo.
Yeah, but still.
I can
SMU
understand.
and TCU got in a fight a couple years back when SMU won the Iron Skillet at TCU. And if you'll recall, an assistant coach was knocked over. Jerry Kill, noted coordinator or one of the coaches on the Vanderbilt staff that beat Bama. Older dude who had strokes when he was like on the side, or seizures on the sideline at Minnesota, if you recall.
Damn.
That guy's name. But got knocked over in my wonderful, loving person in the world, Gary Patterson, threw a huge bitch fit saying that SMU was just a bunch of bullies and jerks and, hooligans for doing this. And the video came out and it was like their own player knocked over Jerry Kill.
Man,
So, like,
I barely remember
I'm
that.
looking for that collateral damage. Like, how many other coaches, staff members, equipment staff, like we were celebrating Cal for being all badass last week for like protecting a helmet. Somebody, tried to break something up and caught an elbow to the face.
Yeah, those are usually the people you have to worry about in those kind of things. You get guys like me out there, they're like, all right, you're just fucking looking for somebody. Like you're just like looking to prove yourself with your little man syndrome, and you're eyeing the other equipment manager, and you're like, all right then, dude. And if it doesn't go well for you, it's gonna get broken up. It's a dazed and confused situation. It's a moon tower party. Like, okay, if you start getting rocked, then someone's going to get in there and step in. So you just got to go land one, and then everybody on the team loves you, and you're the new team mascot for the rest of the year. That's the play. Did you see that video of that equipment manager from Cal? Was it Cal?
Oh, yeah.
Cal.
Yeah.
When they showed the tape of him fucking dumping that dude. That's
It was
pretty
beautiful.
It was really good.
You didn't have that opportunity this weekend. Nobody needed their shit this weekend. They took the fuck out of Dallas.
Okay.
Now let's do Texas, the moment we've all been waiting for. The only thing I'll have to say, so I can just get out of the way here, is I picked the wrong time to go pick up food. So I was only listening to the TV broadcast of this game. And when they did the opening and they let the A&M band play, and then Texas band play, and then A&M's band drown them out, like hearing that without visual context, like what's going on. And I get home and I realized I put the words on the screen and they were doing a whole bit. I got goosebumps while driving because you could just tell the vibes were as high as like you could ever imagine it to be.
It was sick.
By the way,
So that was
A&M,
beautiful.
got to give them credit. They have is it their fight song that they were all singing to? It's great. Like it's
One of their 17 tunes.
It sounds like it's just very catchy. It just sounds dope. And of course, I've never seen before a broadcast put lyrics up like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a really nice added touch because the song is largely about the University of Texas. And so everything was very appropriate. And I got chills too. And I'm obviously not a Texas A&M fan. That was cool. Their entrance and the whole game day atmosphere at Texas A&M Kyle Field is elite. Like it's badass. Props to them for that. That was very, very cool. The game itself, loved it. I mean, obviously I loved it. Quinn Ewers is who he is at this point. He's continues to be the most frustrating quarterback of all time to watch. I think he threw for -6 yards in the first quarter. Second quarter, he came alive and actually had an outstanding second quarter.
Through the deep ball.
And that does not happen. He looked great in the second quarter, had moments in the third quarter where he looked strong too. I don't think he threw a pass in the fourth quarter. But he's so frustrating to watch, man. He's good for just really boneheaded play a game, if not more. And of course, we saw that with the pick six. It was tipped at the line, but I think that ball was getting picked either way. It was just a really bad throwaway. He just panicked, I think, and it's just frustrating.
Did the receiver fall down, or after it was tipped, did he get kind of thrown by the cornerback?
I think that's what it was. He got tipped, so of course there's no pass interference at that point. So he just kind of tossed that guy aside and took it to the house.
Good awareness,
Great play
though.
by him.
That's a great play.
That guy's a punk, by the way. Will Lee, I think is his name, who returned that interception. He was just like grabbing receivers and throwing them to the ground. He threw Matthew Golden to the ground in the end zone, like near the end of one of the plays. That guy's anyway.
Let me tell you how I got smoked. So we Alyssa and I had a dinner, just the two of us, parents, and we got the kids and all that. So we go, and I know like I'm gonna miss part of the game. So as soon as we sit down, I've got it queued up and I've got it on my thigh, not on the table. Waiter comes over and he goes, "Oh," he's like, "Texas game?" He's like, "Yeah, he goes, and this guy next to us he's like, "Yeah, he's watching it too. There's a lot of people following." I was like, "Oh, yeah." I mean, Alyssa didn't care, but I was like,
Put you on Front Street.
I was like, "Hey, dude, there's a reason it's on my fucking thigh under the table."
Oh, that's funny.
Oh my God. So yeah, I got to see, I had to watch like the most of the first half like that. And I saw a lot of good from Quinn, and I was really happy for him. And then the fumbles are going to happen. You got to protect the ball. The tip, I don't know what the thought is on the tip pass interception, the pick six, but like that game should have never been a game. It felt a lot like the Kentucky game.
his interceptions are usually like that. Like he doesn't just throw into traffic and a guy makes a play on it. Like he has these dumb like throwaway like lob. It's just weird. He panics once or twice a game, and it's usually works out in the defense's favor. It's frustrating. My dog of the week though goes to Contravian Wisner, DeSoto kid, Dave, sophomore running back. I think before injury started this year, I think he was like listed as like third or fourth running back in the depth chart. The dude had a hell of a game, 33 carries, 186 yards. He's like saved the offense this year.
You got to love that.
If that kid doesn't emerge as like a go-to running back, and Jaden Blue, who was supposed to be the guy, he can't hang on to the ball. He fumbles once or twice a game.
Which is wild because he's like a decent receiver, which I guess that's the case with some receivers, that they can catch the ball, but maybe they're not best ball security players. But he's a really decent back out of the receiving back, I should say.
He's had a great season.
If I'm a Texas fan, and I was pulling for Texas that game, and I'm feeling – I know everybody's kind of down on Quinn, or a lot of people are, and they're like some people aren't feeling great going into the Georgia game, the rematch. But you got to love that the running game is kind of established now.
Yeah.
Because that's been
Yeah, we also saw the introduction of the Arch package
right
in this game. He scored the first touchdown for Texas. And I think we're going to see more of that moving forward, and they're going to do some kind of play action off of that too, and someone's going to break deep. But yeah, this game goes to the defense though.
I thought you had something.
No, I was just saying, as a Texas guy myself, I'm really happy to see that.
Okay, all right. That was a sports play.
You can have one of David's 7 teams. I mean,
Just take
I feel
'em.
like
I'm done with
the
Arkansas.
monopoly that Dylan's got on bids in the office right now is just disgusting. Like I'm blaming Sally a little bit for this, but it's really Dylan.
This Texas defense is they gave up 0 points. It's so good that I get, like, usually when you watch your team and the other opposing offense takes over, it's like, okay, let's see if we can keep them from scoring. I get excited to watch this Texas defense because I feel like that's when good things just happen. And man, they were fucking awesome. They were awesome. That goal line stand in the fourth quarter after A&M was threatening. It was 17-7 at this point. You had a punt block. The blocked punt, and I think they recovered at like the 30, and they got down to, I guess, the 1 yard line and just couldn't punch it in. That stand was everything. I fucking loved it.
That pump block is the thing that made me go, oh,
Yeah,
fuck. This is
kind of felt
this is going to happen.
and they did grab the momentum from them. But the Texas D was, they're just so good. I have so much confidence. So I was like, okay, this game is still in hand. Still got the lead as long as we have this D cooking. It's gonna be okay. And they did. They shut it down. And man, that was great. That was great.
I think we had a little Duncanville DeSoto action there too with our guy Colin Simmons, and I don't remember the name of that OT, that tackle.
Is he DeSoto?
I think he's DeSoto.
Oh.
Yeah.
But after the game, go checking out Colin Simmons on Instagram, talking some shit.
Did you see
tagging
the
him.
play that started it?
No, they didn't show a good replay. I probably
I
could've
saw the
found it on
final
Twitter.
play, but
I
was that
didn't-
what you're referring to, or
No, I didn't see what happened until I think it was today. Actually, it was like one of the alternate camera angles caught what happened. But the play was over, and the guy just like he had Colin Simmons by the shoulder pads, just blocking him. He just kept pushing. It was way after the whistle, I think, and just kind of buried him and laid on him for a little bit. And Colin Simmons couldn't throw him off, and he was fucking with him. Like it was an appropriate response.
Okay.
I didn't see that, but that's what he tried to do. The final play, and Marcel Reed was getting like run out of bounds. He was
Maybe that was the
engaged with
final
Colin
play.
Simmons, but he didn't get him to he didn't fully get him down. Like if he did, it wasn't like the full process, but you could tell that was the point where like Colin Simmons like completely snapped
Yeah.
to the point where like they were like, hey, we're just trying to take a knee, get off the field. And Colin Simmons' brain was only on one mode. And they're like,
Yeah.
he didn't care about anything and anybody. And I'm like, I guess you want that to a certain degree, but
I love that
you
dude's
know,
a longhorn.
let's keep it between the lines.
He's so sick. Yep. I don't really have much more. Just very, very happy about how that all played out. And now I got a chance to play Georgia for the title. If Texas wins the Big 12 and its last year in the Big 12 and its first year in the SEC, That'd be really something. But gotta get through those dogs.
I really need Texas to win, as I think I stated after the first. I think Texas wins like 8 out of 10 times against Georgia after watching that first game. So it'd be nice if they could go do it, make me look like not a dummy for once.
And again, the Texas defense played outstanding against Georgia the first time around. Just the offense really put them in some impossible positions at times. That's why they lost that game.
So
I'm ready for a
Game would be
redo.
in Atlanta.
Atlanta,
right?
Yep. Saturday.
That's the unfortunate part. So
Saturday at 3:00.
do you think Quinn being game time decision, all that, there was a lot of chatter. Do you think that a lot of that was gamesmanship?
I don't know.
I'm curious how bad that ankle is.
I don't really know. It
I don't
clearly
know that
affected
it got
him.
worse, but I think that it was a legitimate discussion because I think that's how you ended up with some successful arch presence with like actual intent. And I'm sure that there was probably more if he was needed. So I get the feeling that he probably had more reps than he normally would have, even if it was just like Quinn was doing rehab and not at risk throughout the week. Like that's something that hopefully Georgia has to be more prepared for, but I don't know.
I wonder if Big Mike McCarthy was watching, getting some ideas for Trey Lance for his Trey Lance packages to do absolutely nothing, that put him in the worst spot, tell you nothing about the player, the guy you traded a 4th-round pick for. It's insane.
Quick shout out real quick to Michael Taft, Westlake kid, former walk-on who is leaving early for the draft. He's had just an unbelievable season, had an interception against Texas A&M. Dude's playing his ass off. That's it on that. I just want to give props to him.
I didn't add it to the rundown. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge. Yes, it'd be wild to see Texas win Big 12 and then the SEC. It would be proportionally wild. I don't know. Whatever. You know what I mean? Similar feeling for SMU to win the AAC and then turn around and go undefeated in the ACC if they knock off Clemson when they play them in Charlotte this weekend.
They're favored, I believe.
They're favored by like 1.5, 2, depending on where you look. Maybe 4.5 is the opening line. Some places it's gone all the way back to like 1.5 on Clemson's side. I don't have any strong statements to say about that, with the exception of Clemson's best game is when they're able to run the ball, and SMU's run defense is their best part of their defense, and arguably the best part of their team is their run defense and how much they can pressure the quarterback. So I think we match up well, but we will see. I'll save it for next week, but yeah, my whole like observation to this point or like experience has been filled with these unnecessary thoughts of like, logistically, how do you prepare and anticipate to like go to a bowl game or to a conference championship game or a playoff game? Like, I'm like, okay, what do I need to be looking at flights for? And I'm like, yeah, it's easy enough to play in for Charlotte. Given how this playoff works, you have no idea one of the 4 potential second round games. You have no idea what the first round looks like. Granted, you'll have a couple weeks to prepare, but like your boy's trying not to get too far ahead of himself. I don't have grandeur, or visions of grandeur saying that like we'll make noise in the playoff and beat Georgia or beat Ohio State or Texas or anything like that. But if we match up against Miami, Penn State, Indiana, the other half of the bracket, I can see us representing ourselves well.
We got that afternoon kick, Georgia, Texas, and then it goes right into you got the Big Ten championship at 8. Then you got Clemson, SMU at 8 also. So am I going to be rocking? People want to know, which rowback hoodie is Dave going to wear? Is SMU one or is Texas one? People are wanting to know. Maybe I wear both. Maybe I fashion it into a house divided, even though it doesn't really make sense in this scenario. Just a guy with multiple interests. We're going to find out. Here's a little fun fact. 2021 6A state champion, Cade Klubnik, Westlake, Austin Westlake. Your 2021 5A state champion, Kevin Jennings, South Oak Cliff. And they will match up in the ACC championship game. Just an amazing, ironic note, KJ.
When people say, why do we talk about high school football so much? Are we just, homers? Like, yes, of course. But it's also absurd to think about how many of these players you're seeing are the same players that we've talked about, shout out to Jaquindon. We'll have only one more opportunity to mention some game tape from Jaquindon at Arkansas if, in fact, he plays at a bowl game. That's been 4 years in the making. That's insane.
I hope he doesn't.
Insane.
They're bringing. Did you see they're officially bringing Sam Pittman back?
That he was not retiring. I don't know that it was a them decision or his, but I saw that he was not retiring. I saw that I have not seen a word about Kendall. I'll go. No, he's at TCU. I'm sorry, I'm screwing my OCs all up. Clemson's OC is also SMU's former coordinator. Garrett Riley. Sonny Dykes had 2.
Jaquindon 3 tuds against Missouri in the snow. Of course, they squander that because Arkansas.
Well, that's a 3-loss Missouri team. They deserve to be in the playoff. Can you imagine if they play South Carolina? They would get beat by 50. South Carolina is clearly one of the top teams in the nation. Everybody knows it. Why is anybody concerned about whether or not they're in the playoff? Duh.
KJ
Ignore the 3 losses.
KJ just hates the SEC. You hate the SEC more than I hate Texas, dude.
What's your deal, man?
Hey, you back off my Longhorns.
I hate the entitlement of this concept of ignore our losses. Look how good we all are when we play nobody and one less conference game.
I'm one skill position player at Texas from buying season tickets that I can't afford.
So we got to flip to Corian, is what you're saying. That ain't happening, but
He had 4 touchdowns, like 230 yards against the Woodlands.
he's going to have a Ryan Williams impact for Oregon next year.
I mean, and if he doesn't, he'll end up like Jonte Cook and Micah Hudson. That's the wild thing that we don't talk about enough with some of the high school recruitment talk. That's the area I try to shy away from of when people start talking about busts or whatever happened or getting too hyped up and projecting greatness is you've got these mega stars and sometimes shit just doesn't work out.
If you look at the percentage of guys who actually hit, I mean, for 5 stars, it's not as high as you would think.
Exactly.
It's crazy how it works out sometimes. But yeah, Micah Hudson, I don't know where he's going to end up.
If you don't know who Micah Hudson is, he was at Tech. He was the highest commit ever, highest rated commit, 5-star wide receiver.
5-star ever to commit to Tech.
Played in just had a handful of games.
I think he had 8 catches this year.
Very odd. It was very odd. And depending, the PR machine is going out. Maybe he couldn't get on the field, some are saying, or maybe it was just immediately not a fit.
One of his teammates, well, I guess soon to be former teammates, someone tweeted about how Tech is going to miss him or something along those lines.
It was a fireable offense, losing him.
Fire the coach for losing.
That's right.
Hudson.
And then this guy looked like a lineman. I'm not sure who he was, but he just hit it with 1 million laughing emojis. So something tells me that Micah wasn't getting along with everyone in the locker room.
Yeah, that's tough. I'd love to know what went down there.
I'd love to welcome him into University Park. Really getting him to stable environment and see how things are going. I think the top 5 is LSU, Texas A&M.
No way.
Oregon and Bama or something your standard top 5. So we'll see.
What was I gonna? I had something right on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah. I wasn't gonna talk Baylor. Oh, GJ Kinney. So Hugh Freeze is leaving UCF. He's gonna go be a coordinator at Florida State. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a head coach opening at UCF, and they want my guy GJ. They want GJ. GJ was the OC there a couple years back before he was at Incarnate Word. And
huge.
Yeah, I'm going to need that to not happen. That's all I'm going to say. Texas State has properly extended him. They doubled his salary. Obviously, UCF can buy him out, pay him more. But yeah, that's something to watch. They're pretty confident. I'm now in UCF Twitter, which is a place I never thought I'd be. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just searching UCF and Kinney.
Mixing it up with the Danny Reggs of the world.
I'm not responding, but I'm looking and I'm like, man, I hope y'all are fucking wrong. I love it when cocky. This happened with Scott Drew at Baylor this last season when the Louisville job opened or whatever. I can't remember which job it was. And they're like, oh yeah, Scott Drew, done deal. Done deal. No, it's Kentucky. It's Scott Drew's leaving. And then when it doesn't happen, I like to go back and check those same accounts and just see how sad they are. I'm hoping that happens here because GJ has got us in another bowl, 7-win season. Okay, people had us flirting with the playoff. Didn't work out like that, but back-to-back seasons making a bowl when you're Texas State and have never done that is incredible. So shout out to the Cats. Also shout out to the Baylor Bears, 6 in a row. 6 in a row. Took down a streaking Kansas team. Kansas looked bad. I will just say it. They looked bad. They did not look good. I don't know how they took down 3 ranked teams, but they did.
Couple fewer losses. It's a playoff team.
Pretty good argument that they're a top 25 team at the moment. Pretty good argument.
1,000%. I think that's okay.
Speaking of Big 12 championship, Iowa State, Arizona State. Iowa State has not won a conference championship since like 1912, something like that, which kind of surprised me. They've been in the mix. Matt Campbell, like the next great thing. He's got a good team. I know. I've got a bone.
How many Big Ten jobs has he turned down?
I don't know.
He's been like the hottest name in coaching to like a doormat to like becoming a good coach again. He's just been through it all.
They've got a good team. They've got
We
a very
fired him 5 times.
They've got a very
For a team we don't care at all about.
Their team is stacked. Like as far as like Big 12 teams go, like they're very well rounded. I feel like Arizona State, our guy, what's his name? Skibbity Riz, Scatabo.
Fucking Scatabo.
It is Scatabo.
Scatabo.
It is Scatabo.
Arizona State. If you're if Arizona State, if you end up matched up against them, that team's kind of a motherfucker, dude. Because they run the hell out of the ball. They run the damn ball, Dylan.
Run the damn ball.
Yeah. Unfortunately, their coach is too. So just don't beat him in a close game at his own freaking stadium or whatever. Or I guess they won, but don't let it be close.
People forget Texas State had them on the brink at home this season. Team that's
right.
People,
that's right.
No one's talking about that, but this show. Anything else in college football?
No, we went long on that, but
yeah, we did.
I think it's worth it.
And we're going longer because I want to give a good shout out to my guy Caden Durham at LSU, who takes down them Sooners, and it was kind of personal because it was between LSU and Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma went for, I don't know, remember that kid's name? They got some 4 or 5 star running back, and they took him over
Tatum.
Durham. Was it Tatum?
Something Tatum, yeah.
Who I'm sure is fine, but he had quite the game, so good for him. Anybody? Any random high school kids you want to shout out?
I'll shout out Purdue. Absolute boo-foo.
All right.
Against IU.
It was a boo-foo.
It was 66-0.
That's tough. That's tough, man. You know
Looking
where I
forward
usually
to seeing
go?
them in their conference championship game.
Purdue? I don't think they're getting in there.
Oh, Indiana? No, they're not playing in it either. But
Is it
I
Penn
guess
State?
they are secured as a playoff team. So
Penn State,
I
Oregon.
assume SMU is too.
By the way, we got the transfer portal is heating up right now. It's
Mm.
gonna be fun to follow over the next month or so.
High
Miller
school
Moss.
signing day.
Miller Moss has officially entered. USC quarterback.
Okay. They lost a receiver too, didn't they? I think USC's lost a couple dudes. Am I crazy? I don't know. I thought they had a 5-star. Maybe a kid
That's
just flipped.
a high school kid.
They flipped that. Somebody flipped
He
that kid.
decommitted, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
the portal
boy.
will be open from Monday to the 20th, and I'd expect to hear some names after this weekend hit that portal, including maybe Preston Stone.
After my football team, my alma mater, gets absolutely boo-fooed, I just go over to Prize Picks. The best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long with Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. It's the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. If your picks hit, you get money in as quickly as 15 minutes, and that's a huge deal because not everybody is like that. Not every outlet is like that. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. We're big fans. Look, the safe bet now, for me at least, Jared Goff going for more than like 230 passing yards. And how about Saquon for more than 1 touchdown? A couple MVP candidates right there. Download the app today and use code DIP, that's DIP, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today, use code DIP to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize picks, run your game. Ravens have a kicker problem. We're leading with that.
No, that's okay. Fair enough. Texas has gotten a lot of enough positive pub today that we need to. Yeah, man. I don't know what's he's broken.
I guess it happens to everybody at some point.
When you miss right and left in the same game, you got something going on.
It's kind of like me off the tee.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it worth calling someone else up?
I mean, if he's anybody else, they would have done it last week, right?
If he
They
makes
would've
those
done it
2 field
weeks
goals,
ago,
they win that game, don't they? Didn't they lose by 5?
Well, it hard to say. That was a late touchdown, but like they would have taken the lead in the field position game would have been completely different. So you could argue. I mean, yeah, it hurt them dearly. But it's just weird. You kind of feel bad for the guy a little bit, but it is weird to see the GOAT kicker get the yips like that.
Very weird.
Yeah, career earnings 57 million. None of this makes it okay. 57 million. I'm just looking at it as like contract terms. Like if they could cut him today, which for
I
any
thought
kicker,
you were saying, like,
it'd
don't
be
feel sorry
unquestionable,
for him.
yes. But because he's the greatest kicker statistically of all time, like I didn't know where they were with like their commitments. He's the beginning of a 4-year, $24 million contract. However, they do have a potential out at the end of this year where they still have $7.5 million of dead cap. If you're cutting a kicker and getting $7.5 million dead cap, like that's not a small chunk of change for your kicker.
No cap.
So I would see them like putting him on IR, put him on the shelf and bringing somebody else in. I would be shocked to see them just like show him the door, given how much he's meant to that organization and how much of a legitimate good dude he is to everybody who's not warming up on the same field as him.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like his only like small area of like just let it go, man.
Kickers are very, very picky. And you saw it this weekend where like the band's out there and the kicker wants to go get some kicks in and he's just going to kick through the middle of the band. Okay, that's their domain. That's the one time they get their little practice area. They got to go take advantage of it.
Did anything about this weekend make you think you're missing out on living in Buffalo, New York? Because somebody who lives in a cold weather state, that looks horrible living on that side of a Great Lake.
Did you see this statistic they put up about the speed of the players in the game? I wish I would have saved it, but something like the speed of like everything's calculated these days. Everyone's running like 30% slower in this game compared to how they usually do. It was pretty funny. McCaffrey likely done for the year?
I'm imagining they're going to shut him down.
I saw a slow motion replay of the play where he injured his leg, and it wasn't pretty. You saw like a pop or a snapping motion in his calf. It was kind of gross. He looks done.
Yeah, Niners are just about cooked, huh?
Yeah, looks like it.
Interesting.
That's such a weird game and environment like that, though. It's like you don't know how good a team actually is when they can't really do anything on the field, but they got their asses whipped. So
a team that plays in, typically great weather, has to go play in the worst weather against a team that like thrives in it. Josh Allen might be like the greatest snow quarterback ever. I'm saying this after like 2 times seeing him do that, but like
he scored 2 touchdowns on one play.
He's fuck him. Fuck whatever fantasy, ESPN fantasy.
Caught a touchdown pass.
God. Totally boned me.
It really counts twice in fantasy?
Yeah, dude. I looked down.
Pass and reception.
I don't want to talk about it. He's built for it. He's big, he's fast, and he's got that fucking howitzer.
And now he's engaged to Haley Steinfeld.
Oh.
Jerry's niece.
KJ, you were watching Steinfeld last night.
Ron Washington's favorite show.
That's it.
I hate that.
I don't know who she is.
For
I
like
just know she's hot.
72 people, 12 of which might hear this.
I'm sorry.
You ever saw True Grit?
She was in True Grit?
She was very young in that movie, but yeah.
Oh.
She's also
I mistakenly like get her mixed up with There Will Be Blood. scenes. Like obviously that's a son, not a daughter, but those came out in similar timelines, similar motif, similar era. But yeah.
She's also on
Shouts
Pitch
to,
Perfect.
Oh,
She was the Hawkeye miniseries on Disney Plus. David,
there's a miniseries called
Yeah.
Hot Guy.
no Hawkeye.
Hot Pie?
You
Like-
said hot guy.
No, it's Hawkeye.
Hot Pie Media?
Hot Pie.
What?
What the fuck?
It's actually
It's a
Christmas based, so you can
spin-off
watch
of,
it.
Game of Thrones.
Is she like she's the co-host on Hawk Tua?
No, she's very pretty. She's very pretty, David.
Hey,
All-time worst Sesame Street celeb appearance, by the way. But go on.
ooh, you don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
Do we have any Trevor Lawrence updates? Is he okay?
He's fine. He's got the Lord on his side. And that's
Okay.
all his deals are in his name, image, and likeness. Sorry, I'm on an anti-Dabo kick this week, and it's just all I can think of.
It's hate week.
It's an unfortunate situation because, like, nothing about the Jags meant anything to anybody before this game. They were supposed to be going into that dark night, losing their coach, but this was a conference or division game, and had they won it, much like the Cowboys, the light at the end of the tunnel would just remain to be on. Unfortunately, that light was knocked out when Trevor Lawrence went to slide, and the linebacker decided to dive as he was already mid-slide and knocked the shit out of him. And every symbol that you are kind of trained nowadays to look for, you saw the fencing, the hands like involuntarily like shot up. And Trevor Lawrence being a 6'6" dude, like it's kind of ridiculous to see like this massive unit unable to function. And then a fight breaks out
Right by him.
right by the body.
Dude, that's what the first thing I thought was like, dude, I don't know what happens if someone falls on you when you're in that state and you get double, but it's not good.
No.
I do say shout out to who was it who came to his defense? It was the receiver.
Evan Ingram, Brian Thomas, maybe from LSU.
Whoever
I don't
it
know.
was.
They were everybody
They were
was
quick.
on the field. Like it happened immediately though.
Yeah.
And for a team that's like without a doubt gonna be out of there, like the vibes you get from Cincy, who's also toast, very low. There's some problems going on there. Very low vibes. The Jags have been toast for weeks, but clearly they're not like giving up on one another, which was cool to see. You just don't want to see coffin flop in the middle of an NFL game, and I feel like that's what we got.
No, you don't want to see coffin flop in the middle of the game. Hey, shout out! This is the second shout out that Mac Jones has gotten. When I turned that game back on and saw that it was a field goal, I was like, wait a minute. I mean, I'm rooting against the
Lazy.
Texans.
Lazy comparison. Are the Texans the UT of the NFL right now?
No,
Like they're a team you respect, a team you expect to win a lot of these games. Maybe they're the Georgia, but without the skins. I don't know what I'm getting at there, but like they seem to underperform but win, if that makes sense.
I think
And I feel
Texas
the same
is-
about Texas. Texas, I think they're the most complete roster. Dylan said it was Ohio State. I think it's Texas. When you've got two serviceable quarterbacks, that starts you a long way ahead of anybody else. And Houston's the same way. You've got a quarterback, you've got a line, you've got receivers, you've got a defense, and you're playing down to the Jags with their backup quarterback. Like, what?
Their O line's pretty sus. I use sus. I'm fucking cool.
Ohio.
We got brain rot, Dave.
Yeah, skibbity toilet.
Sigma.
No, I think
We're so fucking dumb.
I think Texas is a better college football team than the Texans are an NFL team.
Okay.
I think Texas is like
this
this
season, yes.
Yeah, this season. Not saying if they lined up, who do you got? I mean, you got to
CJ Stroud.
season 2, the regression, the year 2 regression is real. I mean,
That's all I got.
you got any Laney Wilson takes from Thanksgiving?
No, I refuse to watch. I've 1000% did not watch an ounce of that performance because I knew what it would have and I knew what it wouldn't.
She brought out Jelly Roll,
And I
bro.
am one of the thousands of
God
Lindsey Sterling fans that were disappointed by NBC flat out, or CBS, whoever it was, just completely bypassing her performance during the Packers game. So I hope y'all enjoyed Shabozy or whatever the fuck.
Shabozy.
No, I don't mean to insult him like CMAs, but like, why I wasn't there for that.
He's got all those songs.
He's got that one song.
He's got that one song. It is a big song. Randy probably listens to that shit.
What do you mean,
Yeah.
Lil Nas X?
I guess I didn't realize it was a remake of Tipsy.
Kinda, yeah. Our guy, who's the guy that did Tipsy? Jaquan?
Jaquan.
Jaquan's getting some money, or whoever owns that publishing.
Yes,
I hope
yes,
he's getting
yes.
money on that. Because I say that because I haven't heard from the guy in 20 years. I'm hoping everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You never want to hear somebody from your youth, your musical youth, not doing well.
Like Diddy.
Well, okay, yeah, like Diddy, a little bit different.
What?
I don't know. Randy's fucking around.
I was too busy confirming Jaquan was still with us, which he is, but go on.
I really thought Drew Lock was gonna like just swag us out. I thought he was gonna come in and just go Drew Lock on us and just run the Cowboys out of their own field, but it didn't happen like that. The Giants are exactly who people said. They are truly terrible, and they are an embarrassingly bad team. And you know what? 2 in a row. Huh. Interesting. Just saying, you just have to win out. If you win out, then you have like a 10% chance at a wild card. So that's all they got to do.
It's going to make Micah Parsons the most insufferable voice of the offseason if they continue to win and don't make the playoffs. Just leaving that out there.
You think he should stick to sports and not podcasts?
No. Keep making podcasts. I love it. I think he's deserved of it, but it's just gonna be tough.
Yeah, I think my only other Cowboys take is I think there's actually a pretty good chance McCarthy's back next year.
Oh God,
Yeah,
what a joke!
I think it's something we need to prepare for.
Oh, I
They
thought
gotta just try something different.
No, the Sark thing was a rumor some shithead podcaster started, and it lasted like 12 minutes. Sark's not going to the Cowboys. Anyway,
All right.
we miss anything else? Any other fun things?
I guess the Bears have a kicking problem too, considering they
Yeah,
didn't use
let's
a
come back
kick there.
to fucking clock management and the Bears next week because we've got plenty of time to talk about the Floos, but your boys got to vaporize unless y'all want to carry it on.
No, we're good. Let's run it back real quick.
Let's run it back. Of course, that's the segment during which we talk about what we already talked about. Randy is officially a Texas fan. He bleeds burnt orange. He's doing hook 'em right now.
Hook 'em.
Put the camera on yourself when
Yep.
you do that next time, Randy.
It is.
Haynes King took a helmet-to-helmet shot from a white guy named Dan.
It's true. His name is fucking Dan.
KJ mentioned Sark's former battle with alcoholism when talking about Chip Kelly for some reason.
Where are the pills?
Jaquindon had 3 tuds against Missouri in the snow. Randy watches a show on Disney Plus called Hot Guy.
Oh.
And finally, Trevor Lawrence
Been off
is
the
okay
smart guy.
because he has the Lord on his side. And that concludes Run It Back.
Is that a TJ Mowry reference? A
Yes.
smart guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to his sisters.
Shout out to his
Exactly.
sisters who are attractive, I think Randy was talking
Very,
about.
very beautiful to me.
Sister.
Hot guy. On Disney Plus.
It is some weird shit, man. It's all right.
All
All right.
right. See you
Fun
later.
one. Bye.
Bye-bye.